Thanks for checking in on the State of Basketball Podcast, episode 59. I'm Adam Miller, and I'm here with Jaren and Will each and every week, and we are going to be bringing you the news and notes on all 11 Division I schools in the state of Indiana, because in 49 states,
it's just basketball.
Jaren, we are back. It is a Monday. We're off a day, but we're back. We're here. We're live, and we have seen, I don't even know how many basketball games. 21?
I've seen at least 2.
Can confirm you've seen at least 2.
There's been a lot of ball.
There's at least evidence of you seeing 2.
There is evidence of me seeing 2, yes. And that's good enough for me.
That's all the people need to hear.
Yeah.
That gives you enough credibility to say that, you can rank these teams. You can talk about the things that they did because you saw at least 2 of them.
Exactly. No, we watched a lot of ball this week. It was a magical experience.
Mm-hmm.
College basketball is officially back.
Finally.
Finally. It's been a long off season.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely felt shorter for us, I think, than in years past, because we were talking ball with people, with
Very
coaches,
true.
with players.
Very true.
So we were kind of, priming for the season for so long. But it was nice to actually have games to talk about that actually matter. So we're here. If you are checking us out on a Monday, it was my wife's birthday yesterday, so was gonna celebrate with her, until I make enough money doing this. I'm not gonna miss my wife's birthday, and even then, probably still not, because family's important. But
I thought we were family, though. I thought myself and all of our listeners and viewers were your family. Are you saying that?
Well, see, you and I are like family, like Vin Diesel and Paul Walker are family,
R.I.P.
But before we get into it, we did sit courtside, first time ever in our lives. So we'll talk about that a little bit later, but that's something exciting that happened to us. It's like a personal thing. That was pretty cool. But I think the whole experience surrounding it is what really made it special.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what else is cool? We have a sponsor.
Yes.
For this next segment. It is Crow's Nest Coffee, the proud presenter of our weekly power rankings. You may be asking, okay, well, we're coming out on a Tuesday or a Monday for live, and then a Tuesday for audio. We did not take any games on Monday into consideration.
True.
We kept true to our word. We release power rankings on Sundays. Takes into consideration the games on Sundays. And that's what these power rankings take into consideration. What you can take into consideration is that you would get 15% off every order Crow's Nest Coffee using promo code TSOB. Every order. There's no first-time customer. There's no, order X number amount. There's no mins or maxes. It's anytime you want coffee.
Yeah, if you like good local coffee, good coffee that's gonna really wake you up and get you ready for the 11 a.m. tips of the college basketball season, Crow's Nest Coffee Roasters got you. And they do personally vet our power rankings every week and give the okay. So if you have problems with our power rankings, take it up with Crow's Nest Coffee Roasters.
Just put it in the additional comments on your order when you place that order using promo code TSOB. All right. So, spoiler, if you follow us on TikTok, you may have seen this already.
Or Twitter. I just dropped it.
Or Twitter, yeah. If you are a trendsetter, if you're ahead of the curve, you might have already seen this. But for those of you that haven't, starting at the top, we'll work number 1 down to 11. Or would we like to work 11 to 1? I think 11 to 1.
You went 11 to 1 last time.
Yeah, let's do that. We'll always work from bottom to top. Number 11 is Indiana State. The Sycamores are remaining at the bottom. Again, first week, still a lot to be seen from all of these teams. Number 10 is Valpo. You recall they were number 6 last week. But last week we also mentioned that we made these power rankings with the mentality that
Everyone was healthy.
everyone was healthy.
Yeah, that we hadn't heard anything definitive on.
Yeah,
you know?
that there was no definitive of this person is injured and they will not play. Well, unfortunately for the Beacons, Isaiah Stafford is hurt and has not played. So we think that plays a big
that changes the team completely.
In their team composition. So we dropped them back, even though they did have a masterful win. Talk about that later. Number 9, staying number 9 is Evansville, the Aces. Southern Indiana is staying at 8. And you might be thinking, okay, well, they're 0-2. The only team, I believe, that did not get a win last week.
That's correct.
Well, there's some things into consideration. They only played Division I teams. They played 2 Division I teams compared to a lot of the teams that are around them in our rankings that also played non-Division I opponents.
And one of them was a power conference team.
Yep, one of them was a power conference team. They went to overtime in both of their games. Very well could have beaten DePaul.
Yeah,
had
should
the
have.
referees opened their eyes a little bit.
And they played a true road game.
Yeah,
played a true road game.
So a lot of different factors that went into that, but
I'll reward that every time.
Yeah, for sure. I think we've established that over the last year. We've been doing these power rankings. Number 7 is the Cardinals out of Ball State University.
Same spot, right?
Same spot. Number 6, IU Indy. So you may be thinking, okay, last week Valpo was 6. This week Valpo is 10.
They flipped.
IU Indy. Last week they were 10. This week they are 6. Just did a little flipperoo. They, started the season, huge win over a non-Division I opponent. Great. But then they played really close against Xavier. Xavier, for many people, is a dark horse Final Four team. So great team. It was in the Cintas Center, which is a tough place to play. I believe IU Indy was
like 31-point dogs.
Yeah, they were like 31-point dogs. They were also leading at a few different points in the first half.
Oh, yeah. And they were down 1 or 2 at half.
Yeah.
Or 3, maybe.
I thought it was 5.
Yeah, that's right.
Either way, they were single digits at half. Only lost by 14, I think. So played a tough game, right? So
in one of the toughest places to play in America.
Yep. So we rewarded that heavily. Butler is number 5. They dropped down from 3. The Big East is weird this year. But they lost against Austin Peay, and that was not ideal, especially because I was there in person.
Yeah, you had to watch. You had to watch a lot. We'll talk about that a bit.
Yeah. We'll talk about that later. Purdue Fort Wayne, they are number 4, up from 5 last week. They very well could be 2-0 this week. They're not. They lost to UCF. They played close, and UCF is a pretty good team, so they moved up. Notre Dame also moved up, so they are the 3 in our rankings. So pretty much Butler dropped from 3 to 5. Purdue Fort Wayne moved up, as well as Notre Dame. So it just kind of swapped and pushed. And then Purdue staying number 2, and Indiana staying number 1. Both teams went 2-0. Didn't really see much that could make the case for Purdue bumping over Indiana, especially because their starting center broke his tibia.
Yeah.
And is out for the season. So that in and itself was good enough case to leave them at 2, but not a good enough case to move them down from 2.
Yeah. I mean, that's something you have to consider. It definitely changes the makeup of the team. I mean, that they lose their rim protector there, but so there's no way that you could say that they played better than Indiana in the first game or whatever. They looked more polished, but I think even if they hadn't lost him, I think we would have kept it the same because, I don't think I didn't see anything from either team to make Indiana drop down or for Purdue to jump them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, those are our week 1 power rankings brought to you by Crow's Nest Coffee Roasters. Remember, 15% off every order using promo code TSOB.
So thanks for them for sponsoring the segment. Now we are ready to get into it. So we are going to talk, same way we always do. We're just going to go through alphabetically because we are simple-minded. We go alphabetical for the most part. There's a little iffiness in there when you get into like the
Indiana
University, Indiana State, Indiana University, Indy is for some reason after that.
Purdue Fort Wayne is just, I think, before Purdue, which is all comes down to how I formatted our master document over a year ago. So you live with it. We're going to go in the order we always go in, I should say. Yes.
So that means we're going to start with Ball State. And as a reminder, we are using the Torvik rankings this season, just trying it out, kind of like some things there. And it 6 of one, half dozen of the other, right?
Yeah.
Basically, you get the same thing basically from either one.
And I feel like our listeners don't really care either way.
Care.
But I'm glad you say as a reminder because I know it's very well a reminder for you.
It is.
Because
I will say Ken Pom.
Start to say Ken Pom, or you'll hesitate a little bit. So
well, yeah, definitely. So let's talk about Ball State. So a little bit of movement this week because they went from 250 in Torvik to 251. So, or they're 250 from 251. So they went up one spot in the right direction. They went 1-1 this week. They lost at Georgia State, true road game. That's the MAC Sun Belt Challenge. They did lose that game at Georgia State. I don't know what the record stands in the MAC Sun Belt Challenge and the head-to-head. I did not check on that. So Jaren's about to pull it up right now. And then they did win over an in-state opponent, a D3 in-state opponent of Franklin College. They won 87-60. So they lost a true road game, and then they won at home, as you would expect, to Franklin. And, for me, in the Georgia State game is the one that I obviously look at as like, this is going to tell me more about Ball State than beating a Division III team. And the one thing that kind of jumped out to me was Peyton Sparks had 1 point, and it was 0 for 3 in that game. I expected like a grand return for him, and we did not see that in the first game. And that, like, Peyton Sparks should never have 1 point. Peyton Sparks, should never have 1 point in a game unless
You're talking about the Georgia State game, correct?
Yeah.
I will say a little bit of, I believe it was this game, a little bit of inside information.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 80 degrees on the court, which is very hot for a basketball game.
Yeah.
So he was cramping up a little bit. He wasn't feeling he's not a small human. He's got a lot of mass on him that it can cramp, reasonably. So
right.
That
all muscle
is something that did plague him for a little bit. If I recall correctly, that it was the Georgia State game.
Yeah.
Because they would have made sure that they would have turned the AC down.
Right.
Or AC up.
Temperature down.
There you go.
Yeah, so I mean, that was something that I was a little bit, surprised by for sure when I saw that, he only had 1 point. But they were tied at half. Right, they were tied at halftime, but then got down by as many as 9 in the second half. So not a great showing, not what we expected from the Cards. Jeremiah Hernandez didn't play particularly well in that first game against Georgia State, but one person who did play pretty well in both games is Jermani Hill. 17 points. Seems like he's kind of going to be that main scoring option. Kind of thought Jeremiah Hernandez could be that, and he still could be, absolutely. But it was kind of Jermani Hill's week, right? 17 points in the first game. I don't remember what he had in the second game, but this is D3 opponent in the second game. I'm not really digging into that one too much.
Yeah. So to come back to it, Sunbelt is leading 8-4 in the MAC Sunbelt Challenge, but the MAC will get home court advantage on February 8th when they play part 2. I guess.
They all were at the Sun Belt? They were all away?
I don't actually know if they were all away.
But Ball State will get to play at home.
Yes, Ball State will play at home. I just think that they had to split it. I don't think they did a perfect 6 home, 6 away.
Right.
But I don't know definitively, other than what I'm seeing says that Mac will get home court.
Mm-hmm.
But so I will say, talked to the voice of the Cardinals, Mick Tidrow, a good friend of mine. Specifically, he's the one that informed me about the court temperatures and the cramping. You mentioned Jerry struggling. I think a lot of it, he's just trying to get comfortable. He's in a new place, new system,
new role.
A lot of pieces around him. At last year, he was kind of the guy.
Yeah, he had the ball in his hands
and
anytime
this
he wanted it.
He doesn't have to be the guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think he still could be the guy,
mm-hmm.
but he doesn't have to be. So now he's just trying to find that role. I think he just needs to see the ball through the rim. I think that's part of it too. So, I do want to say Juanse Gorcito, not a transfer we talked about, transfer out of Portland. He's just going there playing his role. He's, I think, like 3rd in minutes average. He's like 4th in points, but he's just going out there balling.
Yeah,
he's
you need him.
Guy we didn't talk about as a transfer, but
yeah, and you never know who's going to hit. As a transfer, right?
Yeah,
he's all projection. But good news for the freshman TJ Birch, career high 13 points in 13 minutes. So that was nice to see in the Franklin game. And then bad news for the Joey Hart fan club, like myself. He's no longer the man who's never missed a 3.
Yeah,
missed a couple. Sad.
It is unfortunate.
Had to come to an end someday, but
I'm pretty sure Birch hasn't missed a 3.
Hey, just swap the jersey. Just swap the jersey.
If I'm not misremembering, I'm pretty sure he's 1 of 1 or 2 of 2 for the season.
And you're 1 of 1 too, Jaren. You're also 1 of 1. That's good. You were there, so you talk about Butler. You bring us into Butler.
Okay, so Butler, they did drop to 89 in Torvik. They were 76 last week. They did go 1-1. They won over Missouri State, 72-65, and then had a tough loss to Austin P, 68-66. I will say, going into that game, Austin P that's the game I was at for reference. Mm-hmm. I was there in Hinkle watching it. Nothing like a game at Hinkle. Either way, like Butler lost, but the fans were doing their darndest to will the team to a win.
Back into it.
Blue going out in his little Corvette at the under 8 media timeout. I think is the greatest tradition in college basketball.
It's an uphill battle when the opposing coach comes out in fatigues.
Yeah. Was not. I knew it was going to be a dogfight.
Yeah.
And it was. Like I said, 68-66 was the final score. Butler looked good the first 10 minutes, 8 minutes. First quarter. They were, they're moving the ball well. Pat McCaffrey could not miss. His stroke from 3 is a thing of beauty. And then Austin P adjusted, and it was all of them the rest of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, Hansel Emmanuel, I knew the game was over when he tripped the, I think it was Colby King, of the ball right around half court, and then took it down the court and dunked on Andre Screen.
Yeah, that is a rough. That's a rough showing. Too many eyes on Butler in a bad way there.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people tune into Austin P for Hansel Emmanuel content, and it delivered. It definitely delivered for those people.
Yeah. I will say Austin P and Butler, they've played now 3 times ever.
Okay.
Austin P is 2-0 in Hinkle Fieldhouse.
Never schedule them again.
Never scheduled them again. Will admit, the first time they ever played, Butler won at Austin P 85-81 on January 3rd, 1989.
Okay.
Then Austin P went to Hinkle, won 63-60 on January 9th.
So it's always
1989.
Always a dog fight.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wait, the same year?
Within 6 days of each other, they played.
College basketball is weird,
home
man.
and away. But that was the last time they had played until Friday. And also, wild stat, Thad Matta in his 19 years averages 24.8 wins per season as a coach. Wild to think about.
He had some good teams, man.
Yeah.
He had some good teams. Yeah, I mean the Missouri State game was tight too. I mean, it basically went down to the wire. Telfort was great, obviously, with 29 points. Finley was out, so you chalk some of that up to him being out. But turnovers were the name of the game in both of them. 19 turnovers against Missouri State, 16 turnovers against Austin Peay, and then you have what we didn't really expect was the biggest question mark being the 5 of Andre Screen being not good in this Austin Peay game. And he I guess we're recording this on Monday. He didn't start tonight. He did not start tonight.
He was benched,
which I think is a good decision. Right?
I mean, he was 5 inches. He was 5 inches taller than Say Witt for Austin Peay, and Say Witt was eating him alive.
Yikes.
Yeah, Green could just stand there and just hover his arms over, and it would have been better than literally anything else that he did.
Right.
He just didn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, 17-point favorites. Austin Peay was up 14 points at one point. I mean, it was ugly. I'm glad that it got close at the end. Shot at the end should have gone in. That would have been nice.
Well, yeah. So Pat McCaffrey hit a prayer of a 3 with like 8 seconds to go.
That's because Iowa's in his blood, man. Iowa, like last second desperation threes. They'll hit as many as possible.
It just went up, and then they fouled up or down to they fouled down to. Guy went over. Guy hadn't played a minute that game for Austin Peay.
Heck yeah.
Got fouled, bricked the free throw. Pat McCaffrey got the rebound. I thought he was going to take it down and pull up. No, he passed it to Pierre Brooks, and Pierre Brooks,
which is also a great option.
Yeah. I mean, Pierre Brooks and McCaffrey were the reason Butler was in that game. They were trying to will the team to a win, and it just came down to the end, and they missed, unfortunately.
Yeah, a tough loss. So obviously we dropped them significantly in our rankings. This is a Butler team that before I would even, there were some alarms going off after the first game, and then they are like blaring after the second game.
Yeah.
Had a better showing tonight, but we'll talk about that next week. Let's talk about Evansville because, they had an up game and a down game. So they moved down in Torvik rankings. They're 237th. That's down from 234th. They went 1-1 this week. They played a true road game, so we appreciate that. They played a true road game at North Texas. They lost 80-63, and then they won over Bresca, this is Division III school, 96-49. So again, not really going to read much into that Bresca game because it's a D3 opponent, and Evansville should win by almost 50 points. But I think the one player you're going to talk about with Evansville every single game is Gabe Pizzato. He's that guy.
Yeah.
Like, he is him. And, it reminds me a little bit of, not in the way that they play, but like it reminds me of Humrick House because it's just like, how do we have this absolute dog that apparently no one else knew about? And he just, 28 points. He was freshman of the week in the Missouri Valley. So that was, a nice accolade for him. And really, really good. But I mean, they were down 29 at one point to North Texas and ended up losing by 17.
Yeah, I mean, my notes, realistically, it says I don't think I've ever watched a worse half of basketball in my life than that first half for Evansville against North Texas. Then I remembered Virginia's first half of, in the NCAA tournament last year, the play-in game. They had 11 points.
Both halves, man.
But just insane. they bounced back, and then the second half like quadrupled their scoring.
Mm-hmm.
They won the second half. It was a tale of two halves, really. Lost the first half, won the second half. That first half loss was a little bit more dominant than their second half win.
Yeah, you can't open a game like that, a true road game like that, and expect to win.
I just think even that they bounced back well. I don't think there's anything they could do.
Did you see that Cam Hafner got SportsCenter top 10? I think it was number 4.
Yeah,
number 4.
You know how I saw
360 layup.
I didn't watch that game, but I saw it on Ben Hummerkaus's Instagram story.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, he shared it. Shout out to Ben, still supporting the homies.
It was sick. Like it was.
Oh yeah,
it was gnarly.
It was. What's crazy is it wasn't necessary.
Yeah,
but
right.
It was still a thing of beauty.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Side note: Purdue is up 9 on Yale. No, up 6 on Yale. Now they just hit a 3. 75-69 Yale. 3:33 left.
I did have the hadn't flipped to that tab.
Oof.
I was gonna hear in a little bit. I was gonna do an out of town scoreboard.
Yeah.
Like they do in other sports. For the scores that are live.
So let's talk about Indiana then. I mean, do you have anything else on Evansville?
No.
Okay. Indiana went down. I'm sorry, Indiana. No matter what, they always win, and then they go down in the rankings. Yeah, they're never meeting their projections. Anyway, they went down from 30 to 33, so they only went down 3 spots, and they won twice. They won over SIU Edwardsville 80-61, and then they won over Eastern Illinois 90-55. So
before we continue, I would like to say this fan base
so annoying.
It's so toxic. Indiana fans, you need to be better. I hate it here. I hate getting on the internet during an IU game.
I thought the daunted thing would kill some of it.
Just
don't be daunted. No, they're so daunted.
The level of dauntedness in this fan base is off the charts, which is crazy because their football team is 10-0.
Yeah,
they are all but a guarantee to play in the college football playoff.
They're so close.
And then there's fans on the basketball side that are just like, bring out the pitchforks and torches.
I think
burn the place to the ground.
Well, you didn't see it to that extent with the football team, but like when the Michigan game wasn't a dominant win and like it was tight and close, that came back. Like that came back on Twitter. Indiana fans are just like used to being hurt, I think, and seeing things snowball poorly, and so it's annoying. You need to get over it.
This team is 2-0.
Yeah.
Every player on the court has gotten better from a year ago.
Right.
The way the team plays is better. You
won by 35 points.
You quite literally almost won by 40.
Yeah, you wanted to win by more than 19, but you also had... Okay, so let's talk about it. SIUE. Mackenzie Mbako has the best season opener since Eric Gordon. He drops 31 points.
Fun fact. Actually, no, I'll tell this stat here in a second.
Okay. I'm interested to see... Okay, I'll get this in a second. They need to rebound better in both games. They need to rebound better. They are so big. This team is gigantic. They need to rebound the ball better.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Down 1 to Eastern Illinois at half. And that is when these, doomers were coming out on Twitter. They were freaking out that Indiana was down. People were dancing on Indiana's grave, right? And then, they go on like a 22-2 run to start the half and made everyone look stupid.
Guess what? They just decided to play defense.
Right.
And they played defense to the ability that they're able to do. And EIU just didn't stand a chance.
And, maybe a noon game the day after
a big win.
The day after your football team gets 10 wins for the first time ever, you can be a little sluggish.
Yeah. I think that's allowed. I very well think that's allowed. what I also think is very much allowed was McKenzie, right? You talked about his best season opener since Eric Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he has 49 points through his first 2 games.
Yep.
That's the most by an IU player in the first 2 games of a season since James Blackman Jr. scored 49 at the beginning of the 2016-2017 season. So he dropped
Fort Wayne
26 versus Kansas and 23 versus UMass Lowell. So not only is it the best season opener since Gordon, but it's the best tied for the best 2-game season opener.
I can't wait till we get another stat after the 3rd game. Ja'Kai Newton got his first points as a Hoosier, so that's good. Someone who's been battling injury for the last 2 years, he's gotten in. He's gotten some points.
An absolutely insane shot.
Yeah, as
it
always.
It's just a thing of beauty. It is exactly what you expect every bucket from Ja'Kai to look like, I think, in my opinion. Yeah. I'd love to see that's how he started it.
What else did I have on this? I'm interested to see if Trey Galloway comes off the bench all season because I didn't.
I'm in the don't start him camp.
I know. I'm just interested to see because I thought that like he was just going to come off the bench all season, but then Woodson said he's still on a minutes restriction, which is why he's been coming off the bench and only playing a certain amount of minutes. He's been dishing up dimes left and right, but I could see him coming off the bench. I could see him starting, and I could see both going well.
Yeah,
but regardless, he needs to be playing more minutes than he is, and I don't think those minutes necessarily need to come from Carlisle because he's been good on defense. He needs to find his offense, but probably come from like Gabe Cup's minutes or something. Steal a couple more of those.
We'll just lower the rotation.
Yeah,
like the number of rotation players. But yeah, I mean, I think that Trey. I said it. I don't think he should start. I think that
you want him in that Will Sheehy role. We know.
Well, yeah, but like if you watch the way that Trey's played this year, he is playing tenfold than he did last year.
Yeah, I just don't.
He's playing. It seems more loose. It seems like he's playing like he did 2 years ago.
I'm just not convinced that that's because he's coming off the bench. I'm just convinced that's because he has people to pass it to.
Yeah, there's no weight on his shoulders anymore. I think he's not the primary facilitator. He doesn't have to have the pressure of the team's success on his back. But I think that largely, to me, I think that's a coming off the bench type role too.
Yeah.
So who knows?
They'll figure it out. Say? Woodson, I guess.
At some point.
Yeah. Let's talk about Indiana State. So Indiana State also went down because they took a Division I loss. So they went down from 196. They're down to 203. They went 1-1 this week. They lost to FAU in the John Wooden Fieldhouse in Ohio, 97-64 to FAU, and then they won over D3 opponent Eureka, 93 to 48. So big win and a big loss. What do you think about Indiana State's performance?
Well, I said this, I think last week, is this week is interesting, or I guess these 2 games that they played would be interesting because we don't really know what Indiana State's going to be, right? We don't know. Are they going to be good again? Will they be as good? Probably not. Are they going to be bad? We don't know. A lot of that has to do with FAU. We weren't sure what FAU was going to do.
Yeah, last year,
based on the game,
last year was lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
I mean, Josh Schertz is not having that kind of success at St. Louis this year.
But I mean, we see that game. FAU won by 33. Okay, well, is FAU really good? Are they just good? I think it.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really know. Like I think
we need more data.
The next few weeks is really going to be, what tells us that. And I think that's why we left Indiana State where we did in our power rankings. Right? Is we just don't know. I do think, as expected, this team is going to live by the 3. I just think they need to defend the 3 a little bit better. I think that was a big part of why they. Well, I guess it's more than just a big part of why they lost, but like that's just something that stood out to me, right? Is They were 18 of 62 from three. And that's over the course of the two games, right? And then the opponents between the two games are 18 of 50 from three. So lower volume, hitting the same number of shots.
Yeah.
So higher percentage.
For what it's worth, though, they were 13 of 37, shot over 35% in the FAU game. They were just god awful from behind the three against Eureka.
Right.
5 of 25.
Yeah, I just think that's why I noted that, because I think that's something that's going to, even though they blew them out.
Yeah,
if they're playing a better opponent, I don't know if I think it'd have more of an impact.
Yeah,
I guess.
And it's going to be interesting because one guy who you don't really have any questions about is Samaj Teal. He's just going to be great. He's an absolute dog. Dropped 20 points in the Eureka game. Dropped 21 points in the FAU game. He's just going to be good. He was the Missouri Valley Conference newcomer of the week.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be really good. I think he's going to be someone that, wasn't on our radar to like that extent. And I think that he's going to show out all year. Kind of, I don't want to say in like a Jeremiah Hernandez way from like Southern Indiana, but like he's a guy that can just get it done, anywhere that he needs to.
Yeah. And I think to bounce off that, one of my things about this team so far, right, is last year, the team narrative, right? Obviously, it's a completely different team. It was, okay, any given game, who's going to pop off? Which of their 5 or 6 players was going to pop off? Because anyone could do it. They're all going to score double digits.
They'll kill you somewhere.
They're all going to score double digits, but any given game, there's going to be one that's just like,
right. It's
okay,
like, Jason Kent dropped 15
right,
and 16 on you.
Yeah. I think this year, to me, it's who's going to step up and help Teal.
Right.
I think it's who is going to be that consistent second option, because I think Teal's going to be the guy.
Yeah.
He's already is the guy. But I'm just going to continue to watch to see who is, going to be that second. And if it's a different person every game, great. As long as it's someone. I think that's my biggest concern, is there needs to be someone else there that's going to help consistently, be a scoring option.
Yeah,
with Teal.
For sure. So I don't know. I mean, they got they had Richard Goodall there, who won. Was America's Got Talent? Is that the one that he won?
Yeah. He was the janitor, right? That would just sing, and
he won. So that was cool. He came back. He's from Terre Haute. Now let's talk about the one that I think we have the most personal connection to, in IU Indianapolis. I just realized I'm wearing an IU Indy hat, and I've got a Purdue Fort Wayne hat right here.
Whoops.
Okay, so this is kind of disrespectful. They were 355 in Torvik, and they went up to 350 with a loss, though. But like, when you're so far down, like, they just need more data points in here. They're gonna absolutely blast out of the 350s like a rocket. They won over IU Columbus,
I think they're gonna blast it at the 300s like a rocket.
Yeah, for sure. They won over IU Columbus 100-44, and then they went to Xavier, like we talked about in the power rankings. They went to Xavier and they lost 94-80, but they were in that game for like 30 minutes. The second half is when it really kind of changed, but they were in that game, and Cintas Center is a really tough place to play. And Xavier is a team that people are calling a dark horse Final Four team. Now, apparently, every team that's supposed to be good kind of sucks. But like, if they're a dark horse Final Four team, what is IU Indy? You know what I mean? Like a dark horse Horizon League. Like,
You said right, like Elite Eight.
Dark horse Horizon League champ. Like,
right. I think that they have an insanely high ceiling. I mean, the thing that you pointed out to me a little bit during the game, and we didn't ask him why this happened, but with like 8 minutes left to go in the game, or just before the under 8 timeout, or it might have been just before the under 12 in the second half, they were up by 30. I think Rosario looked up at the scoreboard and was like, he was angry.
Yeah, he just like sighed.
Something was off, and they were up by 30, mind you. So it's like, well, I think, okay, was he upset that their lead wasn't bigger? Was he upset that they
given up so many points?
Yeah, like who We don't know, but that's to me is the sign of like, okay, they're up big.
Yeah, he doesn't
He's
want to
gonna
take
hold them. He's gonna still hold them accountable.
Yeah.
If they miss defensive play call or they leave their guy and they give a bucket, he's gonna hold them accountable at every point in the game, regardless of the score, and the time remaining. And I think to me that's when I realized this team is gonna be good. And mind you, I realized this while sitting courtside at their game
with 3,500 third graders around you,
surrounded by 3,500 third graders. So shout out to Lauren Granke, who
was the one who got that to happen. Yeah,
hooked us up.
Yeah, she's the one who reached out to us, got us some tickets, and then ended up, upgrading us to some courtside seats. Sat next to a really nice fella and his wife, who were, really, really nice to talk to, and chatted with them. And they've been season ticket holders for years, and said that, they were saying that like just it already felt different, and that you could just tell like the chemistry last year was awful, and the chemistry this year is just so different and so nice. And to see that like they're taking that Corsaro is taking timeouts when they're up 35 points and, getting on them about, being lax about something, it was refreshing to them for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I even think, even to that same point, is Corsaro told them not to score. They hit 100. They had several opportunities or more. He had them hold the ball, run out the shot clock, take a shot clock violation, whatever. The players didn't. They were holding each other accountable, saying, "Okay, hold the ball." And I think this team's the same player like last year. The players last year,
yeah, they're windmill dunking that.
They would have.
They're also not up 100-44.
That's also very true, and a large part of that that score margin is 3-pointers. So I've got a little free throw for you. Free throw about 3-pointers.
Okay.
So far this year, IU Indy has made it 26 threes through 2 games.
Okay.
How many games did it take them to make that many threes last season?
To make 26 threes, I'm going to go 5.
It was 8.
Oh no.
They were 30 and 122 in 3-pointers over the first 8 games of the season.
Do you remember last year when there was, I don't think it was the same week, it might have been back-to-back weeks when IU didn't hit a 3 in a game and IU PUI didn't hit a 3 in a game, and we were like, this is embarrassing.
Yeah.
This is embarrassing. And it was like IU PUI shot like 6 and IU shot like 8. And it was just like they both hit 0.
Yeah. And to continue with the 3-point statistics, is so the most threes that they made in a single game last season, 8.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The least amount of threes made in a game this year, 12. Much smaller sample size, right? They've played 2 games this year. They played 30 last year, 30 some last year.
Right.
Still, the most threes they shot in a single game last year, 23.
Yeah.
The least threes they've shot in a single game this year, 28. So shooting more, way more.
It's like a modern offense.
Making way more. IU Indy is also 7th in the nation in 3-point percentage.
Good for them.
At a solid 50%.
Good for them.
So pretty cool. Notre Dame is, I think, 11th. Fun fact. So
yeah, so good performance. Keenan Garner had a double-double in his debut. Zelinskis dropped 17. Jarvis Walker was great in both. And I think that the coaching change is going to change this program, and I think the arena is going to just absolutely below them, straight up into the Horizon League rankings. And, that Xavier game was even without their 7-footer Julian Steinfeld. So it could have absolutely been a win if they had him. They were going against, is this still Zach Fremantle down low? Yeah, they still had Zach Fremantle. dude.
Yeah.
So I mean, going against him, like that's tough. But let's talk about Notre Dame. They won over Stonehill 89-60. Struz and Burton both had 18. They shot a bunch of threes. They made a bunch of threes.
I wish they
That's
played
it?
more games. Yeah.
Yeah.
I literally have 10 out of 10, no notes. They won by 30, 29.
29.
Their backcourt is
One of the best in the ACC, man.
at minimum the best young backcourt, but
It's just a matter of how long Burton actually stays.
Yeah, the ceiling is that they are one of the best backcourts in the conference. Matalaco, good, baller.
Yeah,
as I'm sure a lot of us expected. We talked about him in our preseason.
Definitely helps to have him in the backcourt too.
Yes. So they're good. Only wish that they would have played more games. I would have loved to watch them.
Yeah, I think they're playing so few right now because they got that Players Era tournament or whatever.
Play super late and back to back to back.
But they went down one spot from 66 to 67. So whatever. Take with that what you will.
I think it's just because they only played one game.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they wouldn't have dropped.
Purdue Fort Wayne went up from 183 to 171, which we love to see. I mean, that's 8 spots with a loss.
Yeah.
Or the 12 spots with a loss. They beat Bluffton at home 99-47, and then they lost at UCF 75-68. Mulder had a double-double in the Bluffton game. Defense was dominant, and then Mulder was perfect in the UCF game.
Hell yeah.
Just
perfect. He's perfect in every game in our hearts.
He's just the guy.
Yeah, it's crazy to think. I mean, I think that with like Anthony Roberts being gone, Anthony Roberts was the big that scored, even though he wasn't really a big. And now Mulder is just going out there and putting up baskets too. Didn't need to last year.
He's just he was already good and solid. He was just another year older. He's going to continue to be exactly
a junior now.
Sophomore. He's sophomore, baby.
He wasn't a freshman last year.
Yes, he was.
Mulder?
Yes.
No, he was a sophomore last year.
Yes, dude, I swear he was a freshman last year.
I don't know because I saw him play 2 years ago.
Is he a junior? Is he? Anyway.
Yes, he's a junior.
He's a junior?
Yeah, because we saw him play against IUPUI 2 years ago when Jalen Counter shot that free throw that wasn't supposed to be his to shoot.
Yeah,
Mulder was in the game.
That was ridiculous.
Anyways, sorry for that. That
defense was great though.
Yes.
Defense is looking great. If they can keep that defense up, they're gonna absolutely tear through the season.
I think I wasn't able to watch all of the UCF game because it was happening at the same time I was at the Butler game. But looking back on it, I think the big thing for me, I think they would have won if it wasn't for fouls. They definitively would have won if it wasn't for fouls because Purdue Fort Wayne was 4 for 7 from the line and UCF was 23 for 30.
Yeah, how does that happen, right?
And I was like, okay, well, maybe late in the game, they're close. Purdue Fort Wayne's fouling a bunch. Well, that wasn't the case because the fouls are pretty evenly split across both halves. So something's just off there. It's something that obviously in Bluffton it was a non-impact. It didn't matter. That's just one thing I'm going to follow too. Is
I think it's just the
Purdue
play
Fort
style.
Wayne fouls that often in general, and if they didn't last year, at least
right. But
so
I mean,
something I'm going to watch for this year to see.
They aren't posting up every possession. I think that's a big part of where they're not getting the line so much.
That's true.
But Jalen Jackson will get his on the line.
Yeah, I'm less worried about them shooting at the line, but more so them sending others to the line. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because 30 free throw attempts is a lot.
Yeah, it is.
Especially when you don't have Jeremiah Hernandez on the other team.
Seriously.
He's on the team. It's automatic at least 15. But no, it's just something I'm keeping my eye on because I just don't see them as a team that fouls that often. And like the fact that they did, is there something that changed? Because I thought they were fouling a decent amount during the Notre Dame
Mm-hmm.
And it could have been a size thing too.
Yeah.
UCF is a bigger team than them. But that's my only, thing that stood out to me is like something I'm keeping an eye on. Otherwise, I think they're gonna roll through the Horizon League. I think that
Horizon League's gonna be tough. I mean,
other than I think we're gonna be looking at Purdue, Fort Wayne, IU, Indy.
Dude, I hope so.
Just as we'll imagine this scenario, right? Purdue and Indiana competing to win the Big Ten. Purdue, Fort Wayne, IU, Indy competing to win the Horizon.
The state tears in half. Our show thrives. Let's talk about Purdue, though. They went up from 17th to 13th in Torvik. They went 2-0. They won over Texas A&M Corpus Christi 90-73, and then they won over Northern Kentucky 72-50. Braden Smith decided, you know what, you guys aren't going to let me score as many points as I want. I'm just going to get 15 assists then. Had 8 boards, 12 points. For some reason, Matt Painter is just completely against him getting a triple-double. Still had the most assists in an opener in Purdue history. And then both of these games, Fletcher Lawyer was the leading scorer, which I'd love to see. I full stop thought it was going to be Braden or Trey Kaufman-Renn would be the leading scorer. That's what I expected. I thought it would be Braden Smith or Trey Kaufman-Renn would be the leading scorer every single game, pretty much. The Fletcher Lawyer is a nice thing. I'm a Fletcher Lawyer believer. I just thought like every game, like
right,
they'll be there. Like they'll be there.
Let's see. That was not the case for their game tonight. But they little out of town scoreboard. Their game is over.
They won.
They won by like 5.
8.
I don't know. They disappeared. Oh, there it is.
Oh.
Yes, they won by 8 to Yale. Braden Smith was their leading scorer. Not gonna list the stats because you'll have to listen next week. Spoiler: they won.
Yep. And then we talked about it. Jacobson broke his tibia.
Yeah,
he's out
in the first minute of the game.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. It's unfortunate for sure. I think that to me, in my eyes, my biggest concern with this Purdue roster is what they're going to do at the 5. Who was going to be their 5? Burgess didn't redshirt to start the season. In retrospect, great idea.
Yeah, I mean, they could have pulled his red shirt at any point.
Yeah, but and that was to me a red flag. It's like, okay, well, Painter's got 3 7-footers, didn't redshirt one. So there must be something like one of them just isn't. There's not confidence in a second one.
You don't have a Zach Edey, you know,
and you need that second one to help back up. So with and I need to dig into it a little bit more because we didn't get to watch the Purdue game because we are here with you all. Kind of see how they, how they addressed that. I think they went. DKR didn't play a lot when Jacobson got hurt. Which was interesting.
He's not really. I thought he was going to slide down to the 5 a lot. We haven't seen that.
No, they took him out and put First and Burgess at the 5. So really going to be interesting. But I think that was my biggest question mark, and now it's an even larger question mark just because who was your starting center is no longer that. Mm-hmm. The team's also just a weird slow burn to me in my eyes. They have blown out their first 2 opponents.
Yeah.
But the games were close at various times throughout the game. So it's just we're going to keep you in the game. And then we're just going to say, okay, we're done having our fun and put up a minute.
Yeah, I don't know. We've seen that from a lot of teams this year.
Yeah.
There are another team trying to find their identity.
Yeah.
With losing Zach.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Just again, an observation. I don't want to sit here and just talk about stats. That's one thing that I felt like we did a lot last year, is just read off stats. So I'm just trying to give the little color.
Yeah, just I don't know. I'm not concerned about Purdue. I mean, maybe we'll talk about after the next game. But I mean, I am concerned about them defensively now.
Yeah. Yeah. Kari Harris though. He's not putting up Lance Stevenson offensive number or Lance Stevenson.
He's blown in LeBron's ear.
Lance Jones. He's not putting up Lance Jones offensive numbers.
At least it was an Indiana poll, you know?
Yeah. But I think that his defenses, he's going to be in your face. He's going to be aggressive. He's going to attack the rim on defensive rebounds.
Yeah.
That's been good.
Yeah. I think that, having a rim, not having Jacobson is going to hurt because they do kind of let people get
into
the
lane.
hoop a lot.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'll have to go back and rewatch the game from tonight and really look and see what it looked like. But let's talk about the Screagles because, man, my heart is broken. Broken twice.
If this team keeps going to overtime, I might cry.
Dude, last year it was so many close losses. I can't have more close losses. I just can't.
A close loss tonight, too.
They lost at DePaul 80-78. They lost in overtime, and then they lost at home to Bucknell 75-69 in OT. They absolutely should not have lost. Excuse me. Sheesh. Should not have lost to DePaul because they fouled. They fouled.
Campion fouled.
Yeah.
And the refs didn't call it. That's why in my power rankings I said the refs should open their eyes. Because which is clear as day. I mean, we even called Ant Wright on his
Yeah. That was validating.
Yeah,
that was validating.
He even went back and looked and agreed. Yeah. It should have been called.
Yeah. Man. So one thing obviously they should have won both of those games. If Jack Milkey doesn't have probably the worst 2 games of his career back to back, they win both of these games.
Yeah.
Like he's just struggling right now.
I think once he gets hot, this team's going to pop off.
Yeah, because they need him. He's
happened yet.
He's a stretch 4 who can really just, go out and shoot it, and they need him. They need him. Oluwani and Randall, and Damani Harrison, they need some help. And
yeah, I will say, if you are, we've talked about it a lot, right? Division II, JUCO, NAIA, anything non-Division I, players transferring up. Do you have any question marks about will they be good? Let me introduce you to Damani Harrison.
Yeah,
because the dude is a bucket. And he's a community college guy.
Yep. They're just they got some dogs.
Point in case.
What else? Eagles, just don't break my heart again, please. They lost to Bucknell at home. If Oluwani doesn't go out with foul trouble, they win that game.
Yeah. Easy. 100%.
Yeah. Valpo. Somebody through the first 3 halves of their games cursed Cooper Schwieger.
Yeah.
He was not good in the Liberty game, and then the first half against Concordia, I think he had 1, 2, or 0 points. He was terrible. And then he ended up playing fine in the second half. He had 11 and 14. So he had a double-double in the Concordia game. But they went down and there it is. I did it. They went down in Torvik.
You made it.
I know. I made it to the last team.
Of our 11.
They went from 257 down to 268. So they got smacked by Liberty in the same MTE that Indiana State was playing in. They lost 83-63, and then they beat Concordia by 1 trillion points, 111-46.
Fun fact: that Concordia 60-point win margin represented the 3rd largest in Valpo's program history. The most previous one was them beating IU South Bend by 70 in 2005, and then the record largest was a 79-point victory, 132-53 over Western Ontario in 1964.
I remember that year fondly.
Yeah, me too. I watched that game actually
on TV.
Yep.
Was it in color?
It was.
Tyler Schmidt is a guy that I really liked from this team. He's a hometown guy. He played 4 years NAIA and came home to Valpo, is playing there. He's coming off the bench right now, but man, I love a story like that.
And he became the first Valpo player to post a single game shooting percentage of 87.5% or better at least 8 attempts since Nick Robinson did it in T20. He was the first foul ball player to do it against a Division I team since 2019.
Good for him.
So, first game, already setting records. So, pretty freaking sweet.
Yeah. Diavero needs to
Shoot
score. He hasn't scored
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah. Hey,
That's
man,
it.
he's still getting assists.
Yeah, I know, but he needs to
Point guard.
be a scoring option too.
Point guard.
Yeah, something.
I mean, that one, they've got 3 players scoring in double digits that are all transfers. Tavares like, oh, all you young bloods? Young to the program, not necessarily young in
Just
age.
like, you know,
Like, all right, I'm just going to give you the ball.
2 points. Nothing, you know, like just 2 points. That's all I'm asking for.
That's fair.
1 even.
That's fair.
You know, so I want to see him play better. Cooper Schwieger, it seems like he's getting back, but I'd like to see him perform not how he did against Liberty against a Division I opponent. That's our Indiana wrap up, I guess. That's everything. We took a billion years to do it, but we're here, we're done. Let's move on. What's next?
Jimmy Chitwood.
Jimothy Chitwood. Our first Jimmy Chitwood of the year. We haven't, if you don't remember Jimmy Chitwood, watch the movie Hoosiers. Learn who Jimmy Chitwood is. Jimmy Chitwood is our Player of the Week award. And there were a couple of guys that we were considering, but I think when it boils down to it, there was only really one guy that could win this award. And so our week 1 Jimmy Chitwood Player of the Week is Mackenzie Mbako from Indiana. He absolutely balled out. Like we said, he had the best season opener since Eric Gordon. He had the best 2-game performance to open the season since James Blackman Jr. He dropped 31 points against SIUE, had 4 or 5 from 3, 9 rebounds, and I don't think they win that game without him.
I would agree.
His 31, they needed every one of his 31 points, and then he turns around in Eastern Illinois, drops 18 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, and you know, they didn't need him like that, but his offense was definitely needed, and his defense has been significantly improved from last year. So I think he's definitely a worthy Jimmy Chitwood.
I think so too. I think it. You know, we talked a lot when we were debating who. Right, we talked about scoring, and I think the deciding factor for me in agreeing that it should be Mackenzie is he was doing it on both sides of the ball. He was defending relentlessly, getting steals here and there, making plays on the defensive side, getting stops, and then turning those stops into buckets for himself and others. So, shout out to Mackenzie Mbako. It's a shame that I wasn't wearing my Mackenzie Mbako shirt.
Yeah, and it's nice to see also him like playing that well, right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, there were some questions with him
year.
last year about like what he was actually going to be. So, love that for him. But yeah, Jimmy Chitwood, first one goes to Mackenzie Mbako.
Shout out the boy. So let's talk about what games, in-state games, what games of these 11 schools that we cover, which games stand out to us. Well, there's none from Monday because at this point they are all done because it is Monday. Couple in-state matchups, 2 to be exact. So 4 teams playing each other. Ball State and Indiana State play Saturday at 2 p.m. Reminder: Indiana State beat the brakes off of Ball State last year in Terre Haute.
Yeah.
So this is a bounce back game where the Cardinals are 1.5 point favorites in Worthen Arena. So that is Saturday. Also Saturday evening, at minimum, I will be there.
I'll be there.
Adam will be there as well. Is Purdue Fort Wayne playing Southern Indiana? Also a return game from last year, where Purdue Fort Wayne won. Correct?
Mm-hmm. They did.
And down in Evansville, but Purdue Fort Wayne are 11-point favorites at home again Saturday at 7 p.m. Any other games, Adam, that our viewers should take a look at?
Yeah. Also on Saturday, Indiana plays South Carolina. They're 6.5 point favorites. That's in Assembly Hall at 3 p.m. South Carolina might be terrible, so the best game on their non-con outside of Atlantis is not even really that good of a game. So they need to win that one. Notre Dame goes to Georgetown. same day. So Saturday's a big day. Notre Dame goes to Georgetown. That should be a good one. They're half-point favorites. And then the night before, on Friday night at 7 p.m., Purdue plays Alabama in Cambridge.
Yes, it is in Cambridge. It isn't technically a neutral site, but
Right.
it's an hour and a half, 2 hours south of West Lafayette. So southeast of West Lafayette. So will be a home crowd.
Yeah. And then the only other one is Butler versus SMU. I think every single Butler game is kind of interesting now based on their two losses, or their two close games, one a win, one a loss.
Yep.
So SMU, they're half-point favorites. So that's at 7 p.m. the same time as the Alabama game. So dual screen that action basically. But I mean, game of the week definitely outside of the in-state matchups, because those are our games of the week every single week, is
Purdue,
Alabama for sure. That is like the marquee game.
Yep.
For the country.
Well, let's we know that it is getting late on a work night. So we're gonna fire through the 49 states check-in real quick. You know what? I'll just rattle through them, and then I'll hand it over to you to do the games of the day next week.
Okay.
How's that sound?
Sounds good to me.
All right, so last week, Monday, number 6 Gonzaga pumped the brakes off of 8 Baylor, 101-63, huge win. Number 13, Texas A&M lost at UCF, 64-61. Interesting because UCF also played Purdue-Fort Wayne, and that was close, so something to keep an eye out. Ohio State beat number 19 Texas, 80-72 in Vegas. Ohio State
Do it.
might be good. What? Oh. Horns down. Tuesday, Rice beat FIU 77-70. That was just a little fun game we saw because we saw Rice beat a team in football a couple days before. Wednesday, number 15 Creighton beat
you got this. Rio Grande Valley. University of Texas Rio Grande Valley.
Okay, yeah. Our notes literally say UTRGV.
But they like to be called.
I wasn't gonna make that connection. They won 99-86. Kalkbrenner had 49 points on 20 for 22 shooting.
Insane.
So that's nuts. High Point beat Coppin State 93-51. High Point, dark horse top 25 team. They're a great one of the top mid majors for sure. Columbia won at Villanova 90-80. Kyle Neptune should not have a job. So
at least not at Villanova.
At least not at Villanova, yes. Because he's just got terrible luck. Thursday.
If you want to call it luck. Anyway.
Thursday, Penn barely beat Maryland Eastern Shore. Our squad, 87-84 was the final score there. Northern Iowa beat Milwaukee 87-68. Two mid-majors there. Friday, number 1 Kansas beat North Carolina 92-89. It was a 3-point game, but that was not the case for about 90% of the game. Kansas looked definitively like the number 1 team in the country because they were stomping North Carolina. They just, pulled it in towards the end. 24 Ole Miss beat Grambling by 2, 66-64. Incredibly low scoring. Grambling State might be really good, or Ole Miss are frauds. That's, I think, still
who's to
TBD.
say?
It's a very subjective.
There you
go. Colorado beat Northern Colorado 90-88 in double overtime. A lot of free basketball.
It's ridiculous.
Saturday, number 11 Auburn beat number 4 Houston by 5, 74-69. Nice. Number 8 Baylor beat number 16 Arkansas 72-67. Not as nice. 12 Tennessee beat Louisville by a lot, 77-55. There was so much hype around that Louisville game by Pat Kelsey. He was going through campus, yelling, getting fans hyped, getting people there.
I don't blame him.
Almost
You
wish
watched
it
Louisville
was
last year?
Yeah. I wish it was a closer game. But I still think there's positive things to happen with Louisville. And I also think that this means that Indiana is better than Louisville because Indiana beat Tennessee, who beat Louisville. So if in Louisville and Indiana play in the
they open in
first round
Atlantis.
of Atlantis, so good sign.
That's the bad boy mowers battle for Atlantis to you.
My bad. So if you're a Hoosier fan, that's just something that's a little game to keep that stat line in your back pocket. Sunday, last week, Wake Forest. Yesterday, I suppose.
Normally a today thing.
Yeah, Wake Forest beat Michigan 72-70. See, Michigan we thought was gonna be good. Wake Forest might also be good. Who's to say? Number 6 Gonzaga barely beat Arizona State 88-80.
Which is wild. What a wild turn of events.
Which is crazy because they beat Baylor, like I said.
They beat the brakes off Baylor, man.
So is Arizona State good? Is Gonzaga just...
It was just revenge. It was just revenge for the national championship game. That's what that was.
That's fair. Our former boy Bashir Jihad had a game high 22 points for Arizona State though against Gonzaga, so that's pretty lit.
Bashir G dad now. You see that? He's a father.
Yeah. I was a little nervous because he bricked a wide open 3 pretty early in the game, but you just had to get the jitters out, you know. So okay, what games next week? This week, not next week. We're all. I never again. I will. Hopefully, I will move worlds to not have to.
You're the one who's been saying you want to do Monday episodes.
Yeah, but I want us to do every Monday, not just like one random Monday.
Whatever.
It throws up the whole
Let
rhythm.
alone the very first one. So Monday, no game of the day because Monday is now over, but it would have been McNeese, Alabama. Alabama won that matchup. So Tuesday, there's 2 games of the day. This is a rarity here on the State of Basketball, but it's the Champions Classic. It's a doubleheader. Watch it. It's Michigan State versus number 1 Kansas. Kansas is favored by 4, and then it's 6 Duke versus number 19 Kentucky. Duke is favored by 5.5. So you'll get to see Cooper Flagg do what maybe only Cooper Flagg can do. See if the hype is real. So we'll be tuned into both of those for sure. Oh, we need to this is a personal thing. We need to arrange our Tuesday around those 2 games.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. We can make that happen.
Yeah.
It'll be on at Coney Island, right?
Yeah. They don't have
Bring
TVs.
a portable charger.
Yeah. We'll talk about that later.
Wednesday, our game of the day is Louisiana Tech versus Massachusetts at 6 p.m. Louisiana Tech is 1.5 point favorites. You know, we like doing a little bit of mid-major flavor here every once in a while. So, you know, that's one that you should tune into. Thursday, Arizona State versus Grand Canyon. That's at 9 p.m. on Thursday. Grand Canyon's favored by 1 because it's Bryce frickin' Drew, man. I mean, Indiana. It may be Grand Canyon, but this is an Indiana relation right there. So we'll be cheering for Grand Canyon in that one and Bryce Drew for sure. And then Friday,
I hate this for us.
Friday,
it's sickos game.
Yeah, it's a sickos game because it's the 2 teams that got abandoned by their dads, you know. It's Villanova, who got abandoned by Jay Wright, and Virginia, who got abandoned by Tony Bennett. That's at 5 p.m. on Friday. Nova's favored by 1.5.
But it's Kyle Neptune, so like I've lost confidence in it.
It's gonna be must-watch TV.
If it's the first must-watch in what's... Yeah, and bring coffee. It might be a little boring.
Yeah, get your crow's nest coffee ready.
They don't.
For that
he doesn't
one.
Sponsor this segment.
That's okay. Okay. We'll charge him. We'll charge him extra.
Okay. Well, we'll have to revisit the contract.
Saturday we've got Wake at Xavier at noon. That's Xavier's half-point favorites. So we get to Wake is apparently seemingly pretty legit. So Wake Forest seems like they're going to be pretty good, and then it's at Xavier. So we'll get to see if Wake is better than IU Indy, if they're better than the Jags or not. And then Saturday, our game of the day is New Mexico at St. John's in Madison Square Garden at 12 p.m. Why, Jaren?
It's the Patino Bowl.
It's the Patino Bowl. St. John's is favored at 8.5 points, but you get to watch Richard play his dad, Rick.
Well, he's not playing it. He's coaching against his dad.
Right? I don't know, man. They
might suit
I
up.
wouldn't put it past the Patinos.
They just suit up for the squad.
Yeah, so that'll be a good game. That'll actually be must-watch TV.
Yes.
I think I went first last time.
Yeah, so I give you my guess.
Yeah, no, you give me your clue.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah. My guess the game.
For the record, I am 1-0 and Jaren is 0-1 because Jaren couldn't give me even a clue.
Let's remind people.
Give me a clue.
So at the end of our episodes, we do what we call guess the game of the week, where Adam and I give each other obscure clues between of a matchup that is occurring, and we try to guess for the other person's clue who that matchup is. As he mentioned, I failed my clue last week because I admittedly we both thought Auburn was in Georgia
at one point. Yeah,
at one point in the episode, and that threw my whole thing off. So he is by default 1-0 because it wouldn't be an even record if we just called it null. And then he gave me a hint, and I got it wrong. So I am 0-1. So now I shall give him another clue
for a different game
that is occurring this week. It is not on the 11th. It was not a Monday game.
Okay.
So it is at some point between the 12th and I believe Sunday is the 17th.
Sounds right to me. Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
This is your wallet.
All right. Here's my clue, Adam. Would the Hatter still be mad if Alice got there sooner?
I am thinking San Diego. No, I'm thinking South Dakota State because of the Jackrabbits. Alice, Wonderland. Would the Hatter still be mad? Oh, isn't there a team that's the Hatters? Crap. I'm gonna lock in South Dakota State versus whoever they're playing.
Well, it's not South Dakota State. They are not a. Want to guess again?
No.
Okay, that is the Stetson Hatters.
Yep, I knew the Hatters were a team. I just couldn't remember.
Versus the Oklahoma Sooners. You were hung up on Alice, but the
ain't nobody getting that one.
Sooner. That is on the 16th at 2 p.m. I believe that is Saturday at 2 p.m. Stetson Hatters versus Oklahoma Sooners. All right.
Like Jack Harlow said, he invented the Sooners or something. I don't know. I heard that one Jack Harlow line.
It's escaping me at this time. I don't know.
What's
your hint?
All right.
What's your clue?
My guess the game of the week is the Catholic symbol skirmish.
Holy Cross and St. Mary's.
No. You're so close. It is Holy Cross.
Holy Cross, okay.
It is Holy Cross.
Okay.
It's on Friday, it's 11:15 at 4:30 p.m. Holy Cross is the Catholic symbol.
A Holy Cross. Is it St. Peter's?
Nope. Holy Cross versus Sacred Heart. Holy Cross versus Sacred Heart on Friday, November 15th at 4:30
Sacred Heart
p.m.
Division 1 team?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe so.
I almost picked one that was a non-D1. I was like, I can't do that to him.
They pulled up on Torvik.
Okay.
You got a Torvik profile.
That's unfortunate. So I am 0-2 and you are 1-1.
Yep. And then I'm gonna have the only one win of our season.
And it's by default.
I'll win.
No, I will say my other hint I think was even harder. I had two options, two clues, and it was very much I was settled on the Stetson Hatters Oklahoma Sooner one, but there was a second one that was, it's tomorrow, but it is Chandler has a ton of fun sharing ham with Henry.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna
Chandler
this.
Bing.
Yep, Binghamton.
Ham, Binghamton.
Mm-hmm.
Fordham.
Okay.
So it's the last name of the first name that I gave.
Yeah.
They share ham.
Yep.
And I had to add the ton in there to.
This guy.
Told you, obscure. Here. But shout out to them. They play at 7 p.m. on the 12th, so Tuesday. I figured that the Hatters would be a little bit easier for you.
It didn't matter what the clue was because I wasn't going to remember that Stetson was the Hatters. That's the limiting factor.
That's fair.
I knew that there were the Hatters. It just escaped me that it was Stetson.
Jalen Blackman played for them.
You think I followed Jalen Blackman's career?
He literally dropped like 40 for them last year. We talked about them on our episode.
Yeah, and we said
year.
Stetson, not the Stetson Hatters. You think I was going to pull that out?
I brought up their mascot specifically so that you knew that they were the Hatters last year. It was a callback, man.
Yeah, I knew that they were the Hatters. I wasn't going to pull that out of my mind today.
All right. Anything else for our listeners?
Go follow us on TikTok. That's it. Go follow us on TikTok.
And if you already follow us on TikTok,
make a new account, follow us again.
Or just send our account to someone that you think might enjoy our content.
And then have them make a new account and follow us again.
That also works. Yes.
Yeah. We want the burner army following us.
Yeah. Burner ball of TikTok.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, basically.
Nice.
Give me all the bots.
Who says no?
Not Elon. Not Elon.
Anyways, so yeah, remember, like and share. Share it with a friend. We live stream now on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. The Twitch is not in our description, so that will be added for future. You can share that with folks. We're also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Anywhere you listen to a podcast, we are there. And if we are not, hit our DMs. We will be there. Share it with a friend. Happy ball watching this week. We look forward to being back next week on our regular time on Sunday. So the clock is showing quadruple zeros.
Go Jags. Gotta throw that in there. We're all,
Yeah. The clock is showing quadruple zeros, so it's time for us to get out of here. Thanks for checking in on the State of Basketball podcast. We will see you next week. And remember, in 49 states,
it's just basketball.